Emperor Sutoku, popularly known as Tengu. Emperor Sutoku rose to the throne when he was just a child. Though official records stated that Sutoku was the eldest son of Emperor Toba, it was an open secret that he was actually sired by Toba's father, the retired Emperor Shirakawa. Shirakawa wielded considerable power behind the throne in his retirement, and he forced Toba to abdicate in favor of the young Sutoku, whom Shirakawa could control much more easily than the older and more ambitious Toba. After Shirakawa died, Toba became the power behind the throne. Toba hated Sutoku, whom he considered a bastard son. He enacted his revenge upon Sutoku by convincing the young emperor to appoint Toba's son as his successor and join him in retirement. Sutoku did so, and Kono, at only 3 years old, became the new emperor. Kono was entirely the puppet of his father Toba. He had all Sutoku's supporters transferred to distant provinces and filled the capital with people loyal to Toba. Emperor Kono was sickly his whole life. He passed away, childless, at the age of 17. This sparked a succession crisis between Toba's next oldest son and Sutoku's son, both of whom had a claim on the throne. The imperial court, full of Toba's supporters, decided in favor of Toba's son, Go Shirakawa. When Toba died the following year, Sutoku's supporters attempted to overthrow the young emperor Go Shirakawa. There was a brief and bloody fight, but the rebellion was quickly put down. Go Shirakawa's revenge against the rebels was merciless. They and their families were executed, and Sutoku was banished to Sanuki province. Sutoku lived out the remainder of his life in exile as a monk. He shaved his head and devoted his efforts to hand-copying the Holy Sutras. After years of work, Sutoku sent his prayer scrolls and the manuscripts to Kyoto as an offering for the imperial temples. Go Shirakawa suspected that Sutoku may have cursed the work, and refused to accept them. Instead, he had the manuscripts sent back to Sutoku. This rejection proved to be the final straw for the exiled emperor. Sutoku bit off his own tongue, and as he bled to death he wrote in his own blood a powerful curse against Japan and the emperor. He poured all of his hatred and resentment from his entire life into that curse. As he bled, he transformed into a great Tengu. His nails and his hair grew long, and he never cut them again for the rest of his life. When Sutoku passed away, his body was set aside while his caretakers awaited funeral instructions from the emperor. After 20 days, his body was still as fresh as it had been on the day he died. Go Shirakawa ordered that nobody should go into mourning, and that no state funeral would be held. While his coffin was taken to be cremated, a terrible storm rolled in. The caretakers placed the casket on the ground to take shelter. After the storm passed, the stones around the casket were soaked with fresh blood. When his body was finally cremated, the ashes rose into the sky, and descended upon Kyoto as a dark cloud. For many years after his death, disaster upon disaster struck the capital. Go Shirakawa's successor, Emperor Nijo, died suddenly at age 23. Storms, plagues, fires, droughts, and earthquakes all pounded the capital. Imperial power weakened. Clan rivalries grew more and more violent. Many of Go Shirakawa's allies were killed in battles, and the country stepped closer and closer towards disaster. Finally, in 1180, civil war broke out. After 5 years of bloody fighting, the power of the imperial court was drained, and the Kamakura shogunate seized control of Japan. All of this was attributed to Emperor Sutoku's curse. There are tales that Sutoku's vengeance lingers even today. In 2012, when NHK broadcast the historical drama Terinokiamori, an earthquake struck the Kanto region right at the moment when Emperor Sutoku laid his curse. Of all the evil spirits out there in Japan, none of them has brought so much destruction and calamity as much as the Oni, the Kitsune and the Tengu. These three have brought terrors and caused dread for generations, not just among the indigenous people of Japan, but also outside the country. And so, that is how they became the three most dreaded yokai of Japan.